Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachakodash. Double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and salutations to the Akim who are tuning into these videos. In this video, I wanted to speak on the topic about wisdom and how we're obtaining it by hearing the words of Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai speaking with the prophets down here, starting with the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. We're feeding the sheep of Yahweh Shai by doing these videos and going week in and week out to the highways and hedges, as I'm going to start off by reading that in Proverbs 1 and 20, where it goes into that, where we're at the chief place of concourse, speaking the prophecies and the edification, the gospel of Yahweh Shai and his inevitable return. And when you come across this word, you become baptized and cleansed, and you're to be galvanized to want to come to this ministry and be a helping hand to the best of your ability, because this is where the green pastures are. This is where the waters that flow forever, that lead to life everlasting, are. And it starts with the words that you're hearing from us. This is not something that we're just making up. This is Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai speaking through his men to give you this wisdom, knowledge, understanding, and to be able to apply it also. And so to start it off here in Proverbs 1 and 20, it says, "Wisdom crieth without, she uttereth her voice in the streets." Verse 21, "She crieth in the chief place of concourse, in the openings of the gates. In the city she uttereth her words, saying, How long, ye simple ones, will ye love simplicity? And the scorners delight in their scorning, and the fools hate knowledge." And that question is ultimately to those cities are utterly wasted, because all of the prophets, like Ezekiel comes to mind, when he was sent out to preach this word, whether they hear or whether they forbear, those who forbear this message, they disregard it. They even come up against us because we're speaking these things, because they don't want us to speak about the destruction of this current society. Because just as in the times of Noah, all the people who died in the flood were given into marriage and just in a whole bunch of sin and iniquity. And the prophets are basically telling you that the party is over here in Babylon. All this mess is about to be stopped, and that a righteous rulership is about to be established. And that is abrasive to a lot of people, because they don't want this party to stop. But when we say that this party is going to end so that a better rulership is established, that's what you should adhere to. That's what you should be galvanized to come into this ministry, so you can be made clean with this wisdom, knowledge, understanding, so that you can be able to be stable in these days. Because we're about to enter into some difficult times where the only way you're going to be saved out of that is through the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding of the scriptures. And you get that here at Great Millstone. Starting from the apostles and the elders on down, we constantly give a edifying feed, constantly doing videos. And even to ourselves, we're constantly edifying, listening to videos. But so right here, as I read it in Proverbs 1 and 20 and reading on down, that is the act that we are doing. We are sent out with the planks, with the tribes, so that the elect of the nation of Israel can be sealed in their minds with this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. And the parable comes to mind about the 10 virgins. 5 were wise and 5 were foolish. The 5 that were accounted as wise were ready for Yahweh Shai and his return. That's why they had their lamps ready, so that when Yahweh Shai, the bridegroom in that parable, he shows up, the bridesmaids were ready. And so we are basically playing that out with this wisdom, knowledge, understanding. And this wisdom isn't given to everybody. As I quoted in Ezekiel, that whether they hear and forbear, that's how you can discern through wisdom, this word, that a person isn't going to get it. And if a person doesn't want to get it, we're not forcing this upon you. It would behoove you, it would be wise of you to adhere to what we're saying, to come to the elders of wherever camp you're next to, and give alms, because charity covers a multitude of sin. And that, like, knowing that precept, that's having wisdom and applying it, because that's what the scriptures laid out for us to do. And you can see that not everybody's really doing that. Only amongst the nation of Israel, the elect are actually applying wisdom. And so now we're attributing all the things that Noah went through, all the things that Ezekiel went through with our walk, because they're applying wisdom. And so when you come into this ministry, you get cleansed and baptized from the world and starting to walk the straight and narrow. That's something that you have to have, wisdom. And so I'm going to read some precepts going into that. So this is one in Proverbs 3:13. It says, "Happy is the man that findeth wisdom, and the man that getteth understanding." And so that is the predicament you should find yourselves in when you come across this word. And, some of us have been in this ministry for a few years now, but you should still treat it as such. This should be your main focus. Sophia, your first wife, basically, is wisdom. And continuing on, verse 14, it says, "For the merchandise of it is better than the merchandise of silver, and the gain thereof than fine gold." Yeah, we may look silly and vain just out there on the highways and hedges. We're doing it for naught, but really, it pleases the Most High to do it that way. The foolishness of preaching, which really it ain't foolish, it's wise, because this is the main thing, the only thing that's going to be able to deliver you out of these coming situations. And we can see through wisdom and prophecy, even the vision that is set, that these people who disregard this message, to disregard this gold and silver that we're laying out to refill on your oil so that you're ready for the wedding, they're not going to be able to survive, because this wisdom is going to be able to protect you in those times. It's going to be better than whatever merchandise that this world has to offer. So from verse 14 again, it says, "For the merchandise of it is better than the merchandise of silver, and the gain thereof than fine gold. She is more precious than rubies, and all the things thou canst desire, and not to be compared unto her." And so, like, this wisdom is really going to be able to buy you out of situations. Just look at what happened with all of the prophets of old. We read these scriptures so that we can apply it to our walk, and have any of those people that the Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai ever failed them? And the answer is no, because all of those people in the scriptures applied wisdom, and they stood stiffly for the names of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. And having fear of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai is the beginning of wisdom and knowledge and understanding, because it's through him where we get that understanding. Through him is where we get the right way. So let me see, I'm going to continue on. That's it on this precept. I'll just go to the next one. This is in Proverbs 4, going into the book of Proverbs, which was written by King Solomon. And he was accounted as the wisest king of Israel, because when he was presented with what he wanted from the Lord in a dream, he asked for wisdom so that he could rule his people in righteousness. And with that, he got all of the other things that he didn't want, like riches and women and all the things. But really, the key thing was wisdom. And that's why the things that even David wrote Psalms and King Solomon wrote his precepts and scriptures, all of them are heavily like the emphasis, the main theme of those is wisdom. So from reading here in Proverbs 4:7, it says, "Wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore get wisdom, and with all thy getting, get understanding." And King Solomon is a person that actually did that. He wanted wisdom more than all these other things. And with him getting wisdom, he actually received all these other things. The consolation prizes, pretty much, because the main goal is wisdom, having fear in Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. I'll read from verse 8. It says, "Exalt her, and she shall promote thee. She shall bring thee to honor when thou dost embrace her. She shall give to thine head an ornament of grace, a crown of glory shall she deliver thee. Hear, O my son, and receive my sayings, and the years of thy life shall be many." And so that's really in the times that we're in. even just applying scriptures in your day-to-day life, now that you're baptized in this word and you're part of this ministry, you can see the benefit. We don't travel with bold fellows. We step away from certain things that this world has to offer, because ultimately we're applying easy milk scriptures and things that are just like very easy, and it benefits us in a big way. And you can see that like wisdom makes our face to shine. Just following the ways of the scriptures, seeking the old ways is a better way. Like you live longer that way. That's not just like a false thing. Like we actually apply these scriptures like in terms of diet even, and health, and just things that we do in this world we step away from, and that's a wise thing to do. So this is in Ecclesiastes 8:1. It says, "Who is as the wise man, and who knoweth the interpretation of a thing? A man's wisdom maketh his face to shine, and the boldness of his face shall be changed." And you see that amongst the brothers. You come into this ministry, you got all tattered dirt from whatever the world had you going through. But once you hear the words of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, you become clean. You become baptized. You actually start to learn something. You know, none of us really are old men, because we started being youthful adults once we heard this word. Because whatever society had to offer with these schools, it was nothing. It was a bunch of vain things that don't apply to what's going to lead to salvation. And so I'm going to read this in Isaiah 33:6. It says, "And wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times, and strength of salvation. The fear of the Lord, Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, is his treasure." And that's pretty much the key to all this. Having fear in Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai is the beginning of knowledge. And with all that, we get understanding. And so, like, with the things that are going to come up ahead, a prudent man foreseeth the evil and hideth himself. Where are we hiding ourselves? In this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, in the secret place of the Most High. So that, like, because we're seeing these things about to take place, we're going to be protected, Lord's will, for part of that number. Because we read these scriptures, and it pushes off any esiniazo, inward agitations that Satan is trying to sift us, because we're applying wisdom. We know that these things are going to happen. We know we may lose our property, our houses, our jobs, or whatever. But if you have faith in Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, you're going to prevail through all of those things. Look at the generations of old and see if any of them ever failed, because if they trust in Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. The answer is no. And one instance, because the Lord does give and take away, apply what you learned in Job. Because Job had it, he had it all. The Lord took all of that, and then he endured through that, and then the Lord gave him twofold of what he had. So like that's the things that we're seeking for and hoping for when we're applying this wisdom. Like that main precept right here, very, very beautiful precept, Isaiah 33:6. This is a precept that we're going to be meditating and singing constantly now, tomorrow, and in the times to come, because we could see the impending doom. We're prudent. And the last precept I want to read, just this is the topic of wisdom. You know, you come into this ministry and you start to actually like learn to walk, basically. Like you become in a newborn, being born again in Yahweh Shai. And so these are things that you have to learn, like praying and asking for Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai for the things that you need and are required to have, like job stability, house and family, raiment, food, your daily bread. But above all those things, wisdom in Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. Having these precepts understood so that you're able to utilize them in your day-to-day walk, so that you're walking circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise. And you only get through that with Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. You can't get wisdom out here by yourself. If you do, you're really just counseling with demons. So to help you with things, like if you're lacking in something, this precept right here is something that you can apply. You have the ability to, if you believe, and it's like if you fear Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. It is in James 1:5. If any of you lack wisdom, Let him ask of the Most High, that giveth to all men liberally, and upbraideth not, and it shall be given him. So we ask for Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai for wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, and all the things that come after that. Because we know that's the key thing. This is the key to all this, the wisdom of the scriptures. And so with that, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rachak Wadash, Shalom Akim.